Dr. Jitendra Sharma is the founder and CEO of the Andhra Pradesh MedTech Zone, the world's first medical device manufacturing park. He also founded the Kalam Institute of Health Technology and is the member secretary of the National Medical Devices Promotion Council. Dr. Sharma has been a bridge between India and Australia in the medical science and technology sector and is a faculty member at the University of Adelaide. During the COVID pandemic, Dr. Sharma established the AMTZ Command Center, which has become a leading supply hub for COVID-related medical devices. He has also contributed to the establishment of bilateral commercial engagements between life sciences and biomedical engineering companies in India and Australia. Dr. Sharma has a rich background in healthcare and has authored over 50 research papers and 3 books.
Good morning, everyone, and namaste. Good morning, everyone, and namaste. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for hosting us in Chennai. It's a city I have had close connections with and extremely privileged to be here. And my senior colleagues from Rotary, our guests from Rotary International, and dignitaries on the dais, luminaries in the audience, Rotarians, I bring greetings from AMTZ and Kalam Institute to all of you. Now, I am perhaps privileged. I'm extremely privileged to receive this award. But this is not a lifetime achievement award. It is a lifetime evolution award for me. I have to evolve much more, so does all of us. So achievements would come sometime later, perhaps. This is the time to contribute. And I'm honored to receive this award from all of you. In last 15 years, at various points in time, and I was a hospital administrator, also the manager of blood bank, because nobody seems to be, if you look at hospital administration vertical, blood bank is the least excited place for us. And let me tell you why. When I was getting trained in hospital administration at AIIMS, the most cream department was the emergency. That's where member of parliaments come, honorable minister comes, cricketers come who we end up befriending with. The next best department to administer is where you learn a lot as hospital administrator, which is surgery, any surgery, particularly cardiac surgery. And the next best, and the next best, and the next best. And one of the least exciting departments to administer is the laboratory medicine, because the pathologists don't listen to us anyway. They will do what they have to do. There is no role a hospital administrator can play. Nothing. And the worst department as a hospital administrator to be is the blood bank. And there is a reason why I'm saying this, because Rotarians will not tell you that. I can tell you. None of us as hospital administrator would like to administer a blood bank, because the blood bank officer manages everything. He or she does not need us at all. In fact, we are an intrusion to their work. They have a donation register much better than our friends list on Facebook. They have connections with Rotary and the brilliant organizations at their fingertips. They are the only department perhaps in a hospital which does not even come to the Department of Hospital Administration or Director's Office to ask for a donation. They invite social engagement. They do everything good without us in hospital administration that we claim to do and we never do. That's where no hospital administrator wants to manage a blood bank. It so happened that since there was nobody managing, as a hospital in charge, I was given that additional department called blood bank. My body weight was 54 kilos at that time. I was of no use to them even as a donor. How many times can they bleed me? Of all. 54 kilos, I was a very skinny person, which to some extent I continue to be. But I was so useless to them that they would call me only if all their efforts have failed, only then. And it so happened that I used to get chance to donate blood about once in 8 months, 9 months, when there is a surgery, and really the freezer for the blood bags is empty. And my hospital was Satya Sai Hospital in Puttaparthi, which is far away from any major city. It's a small town in itself. It is perhaps one of the very, very few or only hospitals in India where there is no billing section, which means you cannot give subsidy or a discount to a patient. It's free. There is no billing section. Only when there is a billing section, only when you write an invoice, only then comes the matter of discount. But if there is no invoice, there is no discount. And therefore, in this small hospital, I started managing the blood bank. Later on, I managed the Andhra Pradesh State Blood Control Society as its co-chair. But when I started managing the blood bank, I realized something very beautiful. I realized that in hundreds and hundreds of documents all our life, from school to college, to medical college, to conference, to our employers, to WHO, to everyone, to the government, particularly in every single document that we file that has public importance, there is a section called religion. And I realized that there are only 4 religions in the world: A, B, and O. Until today, in every single document that I have filled, my religion has always been B positive. I have not mentioned my religion. Sometimes the forms have been rejected. Sometimes the forms have been thrown back to me by saying or assuming that I have made a mistake. Sometimes I have even pretended that I have made that mistake, because in many offices that some of you understand, we don't have the luxury of saying you are wrong. Even though we know you are wrong, we may not have the luxury to say you are wrong. And therefore, sometimes it is safe to accept a mistake. And till today, I have been writing my religion in every single form as B positive. And I think that is one advice, suggestion, best practice today I would like to share with all Rotarian family members. Because if nature has made any differentiation in humankind, nature, not man, not woman, not humankind, if nature has made any differentiation in society, it is gender and blood group. There is no third differentiation given to us by nature, none. Every other differentiation has been imposed or advised or educated into us by our previous generation. But nature has given us only 2 differentiations, the blood group and the gender. So consider to write your blood group as your religion, and I think Rotarians would have created a mammoth social revolution in the world. Because today, this barrier called religion is perhaps one of the strongest differentiators, bringing various complexities, good, bad, not so good, not so bad, and so on, across the world, not just in India. That's my humble association with the blood bank and the great job all of you do. Now, I will also take the liberty to tell you a little bit, and feel free to let me know when my time is coming to close, 5 minutes before. My wife has trained me well to shut up at a smallest sign. So I'm highly trained in some sense. So I will get a feel very quickly if you point to me that I am now done. Now, since all of you come from medical associated background, let me tell you something very simple. Imagine a big circle in front of you. And I'm not carrying any PowerPoint presentations, etc., because you all have lived and you all work in society. You all don't need PowerPoints. to prove a point. You all live with those points, fighting with many powers, still doing your work. Now, if you imagine a big circle, break that circle into 4 parts. That is healthcare. Healthcare has 4 components. Component 1, the first pie of the circle of healthcare, what we do when we run hospitals. The first cost center of a hospital is land and building. How many of you here run a hospital? Can you all raise hands or are associated with hospitals? Some of you run a hospital, right? Every hospital starts with land and building. That cost will always be in the control of the real estate market, never in your control. Which means the biggest cost center of the hospital is never going to be in the control of healthcare. The second cost is the cost of human resources. And now I'll see even less hands. When I ask this question, how many of you will like to earn a lesser salary than you are earning today? None. Which means in your hospital and your healthcare institution, no individual is going to be paid less than what they are getting paid today, including yourself. Which means human resource, which is the second cost of running a health program, is never going to be in your control. You can at the most reduce the number of units, but you can never reduce the impact of its impact on your budget. Never. The third component is a pride of India, pharmaceuticals and vaccines. We are called the pharmacy of the world. Every 5th drug taken anywhere in the world is made in India. We are world's one of largest vaccine producers. We have made treatment to HIV, HBsAg and everything affordable across the world. That's a cost center India has already won. Except some active pharmaceutical ingredients that are highly import dependent, about 54 of them. India is a superpower in pharmaceuticals. And then comes the 4th component, which is medical devices, a sector that I represent. 98% of India's requirement of medical devices are imported. Despite having one of the largest institutions in engineering called IITs, including one in this city, despite having one of the largest outputs of engineers from all engineering colleges per annum put together in the world, our import dependency in medical devices is only about 63,000 crore per annum. That's roughly $20 billion worth of medical devices that India consumes, 98% of which comes out of imports. Now, there are many reasons why this has happened. But if I were to ask some of you, what is an example of medical device? Can I, ma'am, ask you an example of a medical device? Yes, sir? Stent. Beautiful. Madam, you? Anything. A medical equipment. Anything. Syringe. Now, we fail to realize that even 60% of the people in this hall who are wearing specs is also a medical device. And for your information, India does not make the lens yet. How shocking can that be? Now, if you look at the heterogeneity of this sector called medical device, unlike pharmaceuticals, where every product is 2 or 3 chemicals, biologics, biosimilars put together is pharmaceuticals, medical device is a funny game. It is like a birthday cake. Put 2 extra cherries, it becomes a different cake. It is not the same cake. Put Bluetooth in a multi-para monitor, it becomes a different product. Put an image reconstruction software on a 16-slice CT scan and it becomes a 64-slice CT scan. It's like a birthday cake. every medical device, an ECG machine could have over 284 components, a dialysis machine could have 800 components, a CT scanner could have over 4,600 components. It's very difficult to produce a medical device because of the number of ingredients it takes to make. And the second complexity is, if you look at the medical technology portfolio, it is very heterogeneous. It is like the category of cases that a high court would see. It could be a property, it could be a corporate law, it could be a taxation, it could be a arbitration, it could be anything. Any conflict in society. Look at the heterogeneity. Medical technology, if you take a mask, it is a textile. If you take an RT-PCR or ELISA kit, it's a chemical entity. If you take an ECG machine or defibrillator, it's an electronics. If you take an implant or a surgical instrument, it is metallurgy. Each one of them totally different from each other. A surgical instrument and a textile, no relationship. And that is where medical technology becomes very challenging for a country to produce. To produce or support production of any category of medical device, broadly, all the 7 segments we have: hospital furniture, wheelchairs, by the way, is a tire and a metal, nothing else. It's not even an electronics unless it is a motorized wheelchair. Now, to produce all categories of medical device, we need 18 different scientific facilities, some of which I'll show you in a small little video. It could be an electronics lab, it could be an electromagnetic interference, it could be implant metal testing, leaching test for an implant, and so on. But all of them are extremely important. The clogging test for a simple 3-ply mask, which is sold for ₹1.67 plus GST in India, a 3-ply mask. Just one of the 12 tests that a mask undergoes, called clogging, the clogging test setup is the size of half of this conference stage. That's the complexity. And I'll tell you why there is this complexity. Now, we all have heard and read that there is something called a Faraday's law. Whenever there is an electrical field, there is a perpendicular magnetic field. Right? Broadly, that's the magnetic physics around electrical items. Which means a pacemaker which has an electrical circuit inside has a magnetic field. Now imagine if this person wearing a pacemaker goes to pick up a glass of milk or yogurt from the fridge. The fridge also has electrical field and therefore a magnetic field. And if the magnetic field of the fridge interferes with the magnetic field of the pacemaker, death is in 6 seconds. 6 seconds. And that is why every single medical technology product has to be tested on over 6,000 internationally harmonized standards. 6,000 standards. We call broadly this as electromagnetic interference study for every machine. An ambulance carrying a ventilator, we don't realize, but the ambulance gets parked next to a traffic light or a bylane, and that bylane has a transformer, electrical transformer for a house. What happens? What happens is that the transformer's magnetic field is constantly impacting the magnetic field of the ventilator. The ventilator must be strong enough to withstand that magnetic field and low enough to emit any magnetic field, which means it should have higher immunity and lower emissions. And for every single medical device, all these standards are already written, harmonized internationally. But India did not have a single setup to test them. And that is where we built AMTZ. Today, the 18 different kinds of scientific laboratories that are needed to test all different medical devices, if there is one single place on the face of earth where all those 18 science centers and testing laboratories required from implants to electronics, textiles to reagents are available in one single place, that is Visakhapatnam in India. That is AMTZ. What it allowed us to do? It allowed us to support our doctors and industry in brilliant ways. An MRI which we used to import in India at 6 crore per machine, we have, I got my signal, I think? Yeah, so I have 5 minutes left. I'll convey my thanks to my wife for having trained me so well. We used to import one MRI machine for 6 crore in this country. Today we make it for 2 crore 80 lakhs, 1.5 Tesla MRI. We started importing RT-PCR test kits for COVID at 4,280 rupees from Korea at the beginning of COVID. Today we produce an RT-PCR test kit for 37 rupees. And we produce 1 million tests a day. India consumes 1.1 million tests a day. We produce 1 million out of it a day. We produce 2 or 3 MRIs a week. And that is the power of what a medical technology ecosystem can do for doctors and entrepreneurs. So the story of medical devices, the fourth pie of the circle, which I explained, the real estate part, the human resource part, the pharmaceuticals part, and the devices part. This fourth pie, the huge orphan sector in which India was import dependent, is documented in this book called Made in Lockdown. It's available on Amazon. We can also have it sent to the Rotary members by taking the list from them. This book actually chronicles the history and the pathway that we took. And the story is very simple. We started with 8 kilometers of jungle without a phone signal. Our letters wouldn't come. Later we realized that our letters don't come because we don't have a PIN code or a zip code, because we were in a jungle, in a forest. And in 2018 we started with 10,001 rupees. It's 4 years, 2 months. Today, in fact, we complete 2 months. We got inaugurated on 13th of December 2018. 10,001 rupees in 2018. Today we are 9,100 crore cluster, world's largest medical devices park. 4 years, 2 months. This park was built in 342 days. This is the only campus in the world where number of days taken to build a building is written in front of the building for everyone to see. Anytime you go, you will see 78 days, 36 days. We are, day after tomorrow, inaugurating the consulate of Armenia there. And we have an ICMR center being opened there. That building is being built in 30 days. It will be written there. This whole park has number of days taken to build written in front of the buildings. And this is the story how India has become a superpower becoming a superpower in medical devices. So with that, I will request the organizers to play a short video for you. I hope my talk was not too boring. And if you have any questions, feel free to send me an email. But if you could open the link, I will have a 3-minute video shown to you, which will give you an idea. And all of you are most welcome to visit us. Thank you and Jai Hind.
खुशी के गीत गाए जा, ये जिंदगी है कौम की, तो कौम पे लुटाए जा, कदम कदम बढ़ाए जा, खुशी के गीत गाए जा, ये जिंदगी है कौम की, तो कौम पे कभी न डर, उड़ा के दुश्मनों का सर जो शेवकन बढ़ाए जा। तू शेर हिंद आगे बढ़ने से तू कभी न डर, उड़ा के दुश्मनों का सर जो शेवकन बढ़ाए जा। बढ़ाए जा, खुशी के गीत गाए जा, ये जिंदगी है कौम की, तू कौम पे लुटाए जा। बढ़ती रहे खुदा तेरी सुनता रहे, जो सामने तेरे खड़े तू खाक में मिलाए जा। हिम्मत तेरी बढ़ती रहे खुदा तेरी सुनता रहे, जो सामने तेरे खड़े तू खाक में मिलाए जा। बढ़ाए जा, खुशी के गीत गाए जा, ये जिंदगी है कौम की, तू कौम पे लुटाए जा। बढ़ाए जा, खुशी के गीत गाए जा, ये जिंदगी है कौम की, कौम पे लुटाए जा। बढ़ने से तू कभी न डर, उड़ा के दुश्मनों का सर जो शेवकन बढ़ाए जा। तू शेर हिंद आगे बढ़ने से तू कभी न डर, उड़ा के दुश्मनों का सर जो शेवकन बढ़ाए जा। बढ़ाए जा, खुशी के गीत गाए जा, ये जिंदगी है कौम की, तू कौम पे लुटाए जा। बढ़ती रहे खुदा तेरी सुनता रहे, जो सामने तेरे खड़े तू खाक में मिलाए जा। हिम्मत तेरी बढ़ती रहे खुदा तेरी सुनता रहे, जो सामने तेरे खड़े तू खाक में मिलाए जा। बढ़ाए जा, खुशी के गीत गाए जा, ये जिंदगी है कौम की, तू कौम पे लुटाए जा। बढ़ाए जा, खुशी के गीत गाए जा, ये जिंदगी है कौम की, कौम पे लुटाए जा। शेर हिंद आगे बढ़ने से तू कभी न डर, उड़ा के दुश्मनों का सर जो शेवकन बढ़ाए जा। तू शेर हिंद आगे बढ़ने से तू कभी न डर, उड़ा के दुश्मनों